they're like, oh, why don't I just go to school or pick up a class? But a lot of them are taking these AI classes. And so I'm seeing what they're posting. And a good buddy of mine who is a very well-respected assistant editor, and he is working on some really high caliber shows. He went to this like AI conference, and they're showing what are the advancements that are coming in post-production. And literally every photo he uploads is like, well, there goes that department, well, there goes this department, and there goes that department. It's like everything is being tuned to work with AI. It's like these
curious. I should go to one of these shows, see what tools are being developed for the film industry. Yeah.
Well, I think it'll affect you before it affects me. Like I sent you guys that article.
I'm out of a job sooner than I thought.
You know what I mean? You know what I think? I think for example, for the job that you're doing now, you'll still be hired to do the interviews. Because
no. Right now we're actually in the field and we're doing KRIS, which is recreating the crime event. And honestly, there are moments, probably half the show can be done right now because it doesn't have to be perfect, you know?
Yeah.
So, but there are certain things they can't do because like we have a certain environment we need. And yes, you can keep probing and get that, but there's certain elements we need, exact elements like in the crime. So it's not at the point where you can just do anything you want, but yes, it's getting closer and closer where I can see that affecting me at some point.
It's getting really close. Yeah. And the thing is, we don't have, I mean, as soon as they open up the access to Sora, I'm going to apply. I want to see what you can do with it.
I want to see it too. Yeah, of course.
Some of the people that I've been saying that you can actually upload elements and you can say like, include these elements. I was watching one the other day about an animated squirrel. So a guy took a picture of a squirrel, showed him the picture and says, take this picture and show me like 3 different versions of this. Photorealistic. Give me one that's like Pixar. Give me one like this. And when they settled on one, then they were like, okay, here's a script of some dialogue. Have the character speak, but have it be this kind of voice. And they just continued to make notes till he got a version that he liked. So you can see that if this is the starting point, this is the worst it's ever going to be, right? It's never going to be worse than this.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I know we see this, but it's the same thing when we say like we're close to whatever it is, AI or autonomy or this. We get 99% of the way, and it does affect obviously the world. But then the last percent, it's hard. It's really hard. So it can take probably another decade, and I'll be too old anyway. But you're right. The next set of filmmakers 10 years from now are going to be very affected by this, or they incorporate it into their workflow and it just becomes something else that is a tool, obviously.
Well, that's the thing. It's not like we're all going to lose our jobs right away. That's not going to happen right away. But what's going to happen is there's going to be more people vying for the same job.
Or just less work. Maybe instead of the week I work, I only need to be there 3 days.
And what that does is that starts to drive prices down. That starts to drive rates down because there's a lot more people competing for those
more
jobs.
Deflation. Yeah.
Exactly. So what I did the other day, I was like, let me do a test of these things. I've been messing with this project on the side, trying to use this like generative AI stuff. And I was like, let me see if I can create a video where I don't do any of the assets. It's actually quite difficult. The tools today are not quite there yet, and they still require a lot of manual input from the user. So even, for example, like I'm sure you saw, Farzad is experimenting with using AI to do his voiceovers. I was like, let me experiment with that. Let me get my voice cloned. Let me put up a script and see how it takes. It actually takes some time. Even if you're using AI to generate it, it takes some time. But as the tools get better and better, and it become more fail-safe, you need less specialization for those jobs. So I believe that there'll be jobs for people to actually prompt the AIs, right? Like when people want to incorporate
prompt engineers, I'm sure that'll happen.
It's going to be a prompt engineer, someone who's really good at prompting the AI and making notes to get to the final result. Those people that's a whole new market. We've never seen that before, and those people will be in high demand. And so it's just interesting to see how
I could see like matte painters going away pretty quick. You know, like those crappy, I don't know if you ever watch kids shows. I watch a lot of kids shows, and the backgrounds are always just made by some students, basically. They're just junk already, right?
Absolutely.
They don't have any budget for it. So I could see that guy not being necessary at all. But this year, forget about next year. I see this year that guy not being necessary because those backgrounds suck anyway. So,
well, did you see that video of Jensen Huang talking about like telling people not to go into coding?
Oh yeah. Jensen,
you see that video? Okay, 5 years ago, everybody was saying the way to protect your career is like learn coding, learn how to code, be one of those guys. Now he's coming out being like, look, AI prompting is going to get so good that you're not actually going to need to do the underlying code. You're just going to have to get good at prompting it to get the results that you need. Look, there's a reason why I think these videos were capped at 60 seconds. That's the longest commercial that you'll ever make is 60 seconds. And so they're making them these generated videos and these like really good bite-sized chunks that there's actually a lot of use for. Creating videos at 60 seconds long is incredibly useful.
All
Anyway,
right. So if we have no jobs, then having assets is important. So let's do a quick segment on this, and then we'll get into everything else that happened today.
Is your mic on? Is your mic on?
Oh, I have the wrong mic. It's probably the wrong mic.
tap it.
Boom. No, I just said switch. Bitcoin 5503. It went.
And
Up
once again, we
7%.
are saved with crypto. Who needs those fucking jobs?
You know what I
Once
thought
again,
about today?
saves everything.
You know what I thought about today? I asked myself this: Vitaly, Chris, and Amit, do you have any crypto? Like, holding any actual crypto?
Yeah, I have a little, but not like anything substantial. My
Okay, but you haven't been holding it for. You haven't been holding it because I was wondering to myself, what would I have spent all of that money on if I didn't buy?
My wife bought some Ethereum. Can you believe that?
course
shit
she
about
did.
a month and a half
Did
ago?
you? And he's like, you put her over your knee.
I was
Wait,
like, I
she
was
just bought it just
getting
now?
upset. No,
She
no,
just
no.
bought
She
it?
bought it. She bought it a couple of months ago.
That's
She's
smart.
just like,
Smart.
I would just want to
Smart.
buy some Ethereum. It's not a lot, but she was just like, I want to buy some Bitcoin or
Dude, this
Ethereum.
thing's
I'm like,
about to
"Alright."
crack 56 in front of us. It went from 51
Yeah.
to
Right
what
now,
looks like
literally
56.
right now, it's going to cross 56. This is what's amazing about this asset class. It moves thousands of dollars.
I just want to point out, usually when it runs even super fast and gets faster
There you
and
go,
faster,
56. There you
there's a
go.
pullback coming. Who knows when, 60, whatever. But when things run faster and faster, it's not a good thing. I like the slow progression we had over a couple of months was actually great. I thought that was very sustainable.
The thing is, we can't. I don't think we have enough information to know if this is running too hard, too fast, because we've never had this sort of steady inflows coming in.
That's
sort
true.
of
We didn't have ETFs
really-
before. We have them now.
We've never had that before, and the timing of it being so close to this halving event where people are already like no one is selling now. Let's be honest. Who the fuck is going to?
Dude, I think that's the thing. The BlackRock ETF had $1 billion in inflows today.
Today?
Today alone, IBIT had $1 billion today, and Sailor bought another 3,000. Like, I think at this point, it's not ideological. It is literal supply and demand. There's not enough supply. There's way more demand chasing it. One good point, I was talking to someone today, made a really good point that these pension funds that are getting convinced by Larry Fink and his financial advisors to invest in Bitcoin, they're not selling ever, right? Like until they die, right? Until they get close to retirement, which is 30, 40 years. So and if they're buying it and Larry Fink has to hold it because they're not selling it, he has to buy more Bitcoin to supply that demand. So like, and FOMO hasn't entered into the markets. This I tweeted today. I don't know if you guys saw this thing. I compared Bitcoin stock, the term, or just Bitcoin, with NVIDIA stock and Palantir stock that have obviously run up like crazy. And we are not even kind of at the point where retail is getting excited for the market. I mean, the sentiment is just absolutely non-existent if you just look at Google.
Yeah,
Trends.
yeah.
Google
No,
Trends.
this is
I mean, look at
good.
this. Look at Bitcoin in 2021. NVIDIA and Palantir is the red and blue, and they ran up 50%.
Damn.
Like Bitcoin, like retail is not even searching for this thing yet. You know.
Well,
So,
this is the difference, I guess, to Carlos's point that we are not thinking. At least I wasn't. I mean, think about all the people now in BlackRock and Fidelity who now have to go out and talk to everybody and sell Bitcoin
correct.
to make money. So there's a whole group of people now pushing it, even if they don't believe in it.
All right, so that's
Jamie
Bitcoin.
Dimon. What was that? That you posted that, right? I meant the Jamie Dimon one.
Yeah, he's bullish now. It's pretty incredible.
Just so you know, I haven't stopped buying Ethereum or Bitcoin. That's how bullish I am.
Wait,
I know
Jamie
you
Dimon is
remind us every day.
bullish?
Yeah,
Jamie Dimon
Jamie
is bullish
Dimon
on
literally
Bitcoin?
turned bullish.
No, he's not overly bullish. He's just kind of like JP Morgan will
remind
offer it
us
to our
every day.
clients if we need
Ah,
to.
gotcha.
Are you angry that I have made a good amount of money with Carlos on Ethereum and Bitcoin? Are you angry about this? Because on Twitter, you keep hitting me up.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh no, it's because every time you say I'm up 30x, I'm like, all right, we get it. You're up. Like it's a joke.
I'm not even talking to you when I'm saying
I
it.
know,
so
but
why
I
are you
stalk your
interfering?
replies. I stalk all your replies because you're talking to all these people and they're like, oh, how much you were up? And you're like, oh, I'm up 30x. I'm like, dude, we get it. We get it. We got it. I understand.
All right.
Okay.
Only you and Chris are allowed to post your gains. I get it. I understand.
I don't even post my gains, first of all. But okay, we got to talk about this. Pelosi Capital seems to have followed Chris Patel into Palo Alto Networks. Chris, what the hell's going on? Can you explain this?
Yeah, man. Palo Alto got sold off on some comments by the CEO. Basically, these guys are one of the best cybersecurity names out there. It's just they had a radical transformation in how they were going to do future sales, and a lot of people misunderstood that, and the company sold off, I think almost like 25-30% in like a couple of days, and it just got to a point where it was way oversold. So Pelosi, if you look at this, she had bought actually contracts on the 12th, so before earnings, and then the damn thing crashed. And so instead of, taking her money off or, selling, what did she do? She doubled down. She bought more. So it just goes to show she's super bullish on this cybersecurity name. I mean, cybersecurity in general it's running a secular trend higher. So it's not this is not the hardest asset. I mean, this is not the hardest equity class to invest in. The valuations can get a little steep, though, to be honest. So don't think that you're going to get anything for cheap. There was a time where you could have picked up like some really good names like Sentinel One and CrowdStrike, who are like some market leaders. And Palo Alto, when it came for sale, I was just like, dude, this is awesome. So I picked up a whole bunch of leaps, and so it's been doing well.
Yeah, it's interesting. Pelosi got into it the day it fell. It just goes to show you that when a stock drops 30%, people really take a look if it deserves to be down 30%.
What did you guys think of? What did you guys think of the announcement that Buffett is now holding so much cash?
I don't know. What you guys think?
He always holds a lot of cash. That's just his thing.
More. I'm just saying that. Do you take any indication of that he might feel like there's a big pullback coming in the next couple of months? They say 6 months out. Do you give any credence to that?
No, I think he's just scared of when he buys a company, he buys, and I don't think he sees a deal that's worth like buying. Like he's not going to buy more Apple. So if he's going to do something with his cash, he's been buying a shit ton of Oxy. It's not like he's not buying. He's buying a ton of Oxy. He's buying a ton of Sirius. There's another company I'm forgetting. I think American Express.
I don't really understand.
He's been buying a crap ton of Japanese equities, and he's done really well this year on Japan. The Japanese right now are making a sort of a comeback. If you look at the Nikkei's finally recovered back to what it was in 1987. So even though the Japanese economy itself is in a recession, there's a lot of shareholder-friendly capital moves the major trading houses in Japan are doing. And so Buffett is just arbitraging the currency play here, because if you look at the interest rates that they have in Japan, they're much lower than what we have today. So if you look at it, he's taking on a lot of Japanese debt at really low interest rates and playing the market. And like I said, Buffett is just Buffett. I mean, when you have that kind of money, you can do stuff.
He's investing. He's taking money, basically borrowing money at a lower rate out of the country, and then reinvesting that in companies out here.
In Japan, but the thing is, like, they're undervalued companies in Japan. So what he's doing is making them do like share buybacks and dividends and all this other stuff. So it's just a lot of shareholder friendly policies. And so what's happening is he's getting crazier.
Share buybacks. He's like holding it out.
Yeah. No, it's just right now the flavor is buyback. So if you look at any company right now, buybacks are so capital efficient that when you factor in buybacks, I mean, like pre-2010, I never even considered buybacks to be that big of a part of a company's bull case. But now if you look at a company whose like PE is, like a 10, but they're doing a crap ton of share buybacks, you automatically have to give them at least like 12, 13, because they can do crazy amounts of buybacks. So businesses that typically have a lot of cash flows, they can support a pretty big buyback program. So a good example is AutoZone. AutoZone is like one of the like best returning stocks in all of the S&P 500 over the last like 10, 15 years, right? So let's just take a look at it. Look what I mean.
Bitcoin 57. Someone said it hit 57. It's now at 56.5, but it did hit 57.
So this right here is AutoZone, right? So if you look at AutoZone in 2019, it was worth about $900. So it's almost tripled since then. But if you look at their total revenues, their revenues haven't grown nearly as much, So they only grow about 5, maybe 6% per year. So the thing is, these buybacks that they do, because they have a ton of cash flow, they just keep buying back more and more shares. So if you look at AutoZone's shares outstanding, you can see. Let me see if I can find that one chart. This right here. This is why they call it the cannibal. Where if you look at this from 1997 all the way to here, all they keep doing is just buying back shares. So they've bought back 84% of their shares. They went from 188 million shares to 19 million shares. So if you look at the earnings, their earnings keep going higher and higher because of that. So even if their revenue and their profits are not growing as much, those buybacks are just on another level of growth for that. So if you're gonna buy a company and it's doing share buybacks, it's a pretty good sign that they have a really good business that, you know, as long as those buybacks are supported by cash flows.
Okay, let's talk about this one, because this one I don't think is doing any buybacks. VITALY, this is one you're big in. Unity, 35% year-over-year revenue growth. You were buying this at the low 20s, and you are definitely long on this. Look, they missed on their EPS badly. They're not profitable. Street thought they would be profitable. Stock-based compensation is not the best, down 17%. And guidance was the Street wanted like 2.2 billion. They're only going to do 1.7 billion next year, and they missed by 130 million.
I think this
revenue.
year. I think 2024.
Oh, sorry, 2024. Correct.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I had a lot of DMs come when I put out this tweet because I said, hey, maybe this is a dip buy. Almost 95% of the DMs I got were like, dude, this is not a dip buy. Like, people are really bearish on this. What are you thinking about this one right now?
I think they're a monopoly, and I'm going to buy. And once again, I could be wrong. Maybe in 10 years they go away. Unity is no longer in a duopoly with Epic Games. Fine, that might happen, but I don't think so. And if you guys believe in VR and AR, and that is going to get bigger, and even if you believe in Apple's version or Meta's, doesn't matter, or both, they're both using Unity. Especially Apple, they're partnering with Unity to help make the experiences in VR. So the thesis is not that this year they're going to do great. The thesis is over time they're going to do great. But having said that, I do want to just share one thing with you. Let me just share it. So this is Unity software in terms of just their revenue. Obviously, they're not profitable. If you take a look. Go back to 2018 when you couldn't buy them, of course. They're making 380 million, and now they're up to 2 billion. So yeah, I could see that they are still growing and still growing massively, even if they don't hit. This might be the hard window of time because every company runs into a period of time where it's hard to grow. This could be the stagnation part, but I don't see anything in my thesis not playing out over time.
Why? So are they profitable? Like I see the gross is almost 1.4 billion, right? So in terms of cash flow, where's their?
But I shall share it. Sorry about that.
Yeah, where's all their cash going? Or is this one of those?
Stock-based comp.
Well, they
like
also
30% of revenues.
They also made some mistakes, by the way. They bought a bunch of software platforms and overpaid. So they bought Weta, which does movies and stuff, and I think they overpaid. They paid $2 billion or something like that. So there's a lot of bad acquisitions that happened with the previous CEO, all right, as well. And yes, and buybacks and all that these little tiny shitty fucking non-profitable basically startups do. They made a lot of errors in my opinion, but it was the previous CEO who was ousted. I don't know if you remember. I ended up selling half my shares in the 30s because I didn't like what he was doing, but then he was ousted and now I'm looking to get back into my shares basically. And as it goes down, I bought today. I'm just going to keep accumulating because I think they are on the path to profitability. I don't know if it's going to take a couple of years, this year, whatever. They said this year is going back to double-digit growth, but my bet is not this year. My bet is literally 5 years from now that Unity is one of the top players in all of this stuff, like digital life, AR, VR, gaming, all of that stuff. So if that's my thesis, I can wait a couple of years to see what actually happens.
I wonder if this company is under the previous CEO was just a basic slush fund for employees. So I mean, you look at that SG&A, man. That's fucking crazy. Half the growth. I mean, not half. What is it? More than 2/3 of the gross profit is going towards SG&A. It's like, what the hell, bro? I mean, and this same thing goes for like Palantir, right? That's one of my biggest gripes. You look at their SBC. I get it that, you know, their employees should be well compensated, but bro,
remember they let off 25% too. I don't know if this is showing up quite yet. They're actually trying to right the ship as well with the new CEO. The interim CEO is there, so hopefully in the next couple of quarters it shows a little bit better, and they're not just a slush fund like you said for the CEO to do what he wants with, because the previous CEO did treat it that way. And that was my bear case that the previous CEO, but he's gone.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was Unity. And you still think them and Unreal Engine are the only players in town, essentially?
This is not something I think. This is something that is.
That
So-
sounded very philosophical. I think therefore I am.
It's the way it is. If you look at every game that's made, or every digital experience, they're using Unity, or they're using Unreal Engine, and Unreal is for higher end stuff and higher end TV as well. And Unreal is more for, you could say, mid end and more mobile platforms. So actually, it fits right in with AR and VR, and it fits in right in with mobile devices like iPhone and Android. And I can't invest in Epic yet. I'm still waiting for them to become public.
Huh. Okay. So that was Bitcoin, or that was Unity. Hims, did you guys care about their earnings at all?
I saw that.
I mean,
They're profitable. I mean, they make,
They made 1 penny, I heard, right?
Yeah.
they made a penny. That 86% year-over-year growth,
Yeah.
48% member growth. They sell dick pills. Would you guys buy this stock? Or
No.
no, really?
Okay, so they don't just sell dick pills, right?
Yes,
There's
they do.
more
That's
to
the
it than
majority
that.
of the business.
I don't know. I have to look into them more.
No,
but it's
they,
not
they
just
have a lot
dick
of
pills.
products. They have a lot of products.
Yeah, they have a lot of men's and even now some women's healthcare products that normally, people utilize. It's just we don't necessarily like understand the market, and the market is vast. If you think about the total number of people there are that probably use these things, it's up there, so.
It's up 20%. I mean, it's $2 billion. Well, so here's my question. This is a good transition. What do you guys think about small caps right now? Because the thesis was in 2024, and I think Tom Lee kind of made this mainstream, that large cap rallied enough, so small cap, it's time for them to do well. He put up some stats from their historical averages, yada, yada, yada. But like that's not really happened. Some small caps have gone up that have catalysts behind them, but large cap has relatively done well besides Google. We'll talk about Google in a second. Do you think 2024 is still the year of small caps? Carlos, start with you.
I think the relationship between the large and mid cap and small caps is very similar to what you see in crypto. And I think that the money that you see into the small caps is profit that came off of the big boys. So until the big boys have had either some sort of blowout, I don't see that money trickling down. You see it every 4 years happening in crypto. You made a fuck ton of money in Bitcoin. So what do? So you can say Bitcoin is like the Mag 7, right? And then you've got your small and mid cap, which would be like the altcoins. And then you have the absolute shit coins, which are the penny stocks, the OTC things. So I think that any run by those small and mid cap stocks would be triggered by a market feeling that those big companies have just overbought. And I don't know that we're quite there yet, especially with NVIDIA doing what it's doing. Like, NVIDIA is throwing everything off. NVIDIA is just like,
they ruined everything for
winging a black hole into a solar system. Like everything's just going out of whack because that one company seems to be like overperforming so much.
What do you mean ruined everything? They're pumping all our bags.
Well,
okay.
That's what I mean.
We're not, that's what I'm saying. We're not really seeing like what the market would actually be doing. It might happen this is when it might happen. And again, just my opinion. When NVIDIA's valuation gets to the point where people start looking downstream and say, okay, they're the picks and shovels, but the applications that are built on top of that, that's where the real money is, right? So all this money that people are spending with NVIDIA, they're spending it, expecting it to have it increase their productivity or increase their bottom line. When people start looking at those second level investments, in other words, the companies that are purchasing these GPUs and stop giving NVIDIA the multiple for selling the GPUs, that's when I think you start seeing the money start trickling down. But that's keep in mind too, that is a natural rotation that happens every year or just automatically anyway. You see the rotation from growth to value. So we just have a lot of things pulling at the market right now. But that for me is what I would say would be the indications that you'll start seeing some of those smaller or micro cap stocks run.
Okay. Chris, you think small caps have room to run in 2024 or still large?
I think it's going to depend on which industry we're talking about, because I think right now the large caps have the benefit of being able to cut headcount and do cost reduction. So if you look at a lot of the benefits that the bigger guys they got was that they could do layoffs, right? You look at a lot of these software companies that are in the large cap section, they've been able to conduct layoffs and everything else, whereas the small caps are kind of like bare bones a little bit. The other thing is small caps in general, if you look at how many SPACs had come out in 2021, there are a lot of zombies in the small cap world. So if you look at about, I think the last time I checked, about 30 to 40% of small cap is not profitable right now. That's a huge amount of companies that don't generate any profits. So that's a major problem. And the other thing is, a lot of these companies are loaded up with some debt too. Unlike the big guys, they don't have access to the capital markets nearly as much as as something like Meta, Apple, whatever they do. So I think right now we're seeing this general trend where small caps are in a very difficult position because, one, they have tighter credit that they have to deal with, and they don't have enough wiggle room to do any headcount reductions like the big guys can. So I don't know. I say that we'd have to be very industry specific. I do, however, think that there's a lot of great opportunities in mid cap. Mid cap is very
What's the difference?
It's just market cap. Like small cap is below, I think, 2 billion. Mid cap is like 2 to 10, and then 10 to like whatever is like large cap, right? So if you're over 10 billion, you're a large cap. So if you look at certain companies, like look at Elf Beauty, right? Elf Beauty was a mid cap. Now it's a large cap. Have you seen how much it's run? It's actually outperformed Nvidia. Did you see that?
No, yeah. A lot of small caps.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
didn't Robinhood outperform
Yeah,
Nvidia?
Robinhood.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
So you think about it, these are mid-cap companies that are now pushing their weight into the large cap section because they've run up so much. So I think small caps are still the most speculative things. I mean, you look at companies like pharmaceutical companies. A lot of small caps are pharma companies that, if you look at the failure rate among pharma companies, it's really high. I mean, either they hit it and they knock it out the park, or they completely die, right? So there's a lot of speculation in that. And then you just have to look at each company and each sector individually, and you have to do a lot more due diligence when it comes to small cap than you have to do with large and mid cap. Mid cap, you have a lot of established businesses that are doing exceptionally well. They're going into like the next phase of growth, and eventually they'll push into the large cap section. So another example is Celsius, right? Celsius 2 years ago was a small cap. A year ago, it was a mid cap. Now it's a large cap, And so basically the cream rises to the top. So at that point, if you think about it, you kind of want to find those companies that are right there transitioning between the medium cap and the large cap, because that means that the market is giving them value. They're growing like crazy, and their size is to the point where they're kind of in like this free, like, how do I describe it? In this like down, like uphill trajectory, So I'd say look at companies that are moving from mid to large, not so much on the small cap. Small cap right now is challenged.
the Russells only moved 7% in a year. I mean,
Yeah.
wow.
Because they need lower interest rates. A lot of them need better cost of capital, and that's not happening till the summer.
More importantly, a lot of them need to die. This is the truth. A lot of them need to die because look at
Why you got to talk about
you know
losing
how many-
like that, man? Why you got to?
you know how many
leave Ravine alone.
do you know how many SPAC deals came out in 2021? Like how many IPOs?
There's like what 80 or something like that. That was a decent amount.
613.
I didn't know that.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Me and Carlos gambled at least half of those.
But see, something like
Romeo Power.
something like
Oh my
Rivian is
God.
interesting. Rivian has 9.6 billion in cash. It's trading at basically 9.6 billion. But someone made an interesting point today on the live stream. Someone was like, a company that's trading at cash isn't actually trading at cash if they're losing money, because
Yeah.
in a couple quarters they're not going to be trading at cash. They're going to have less cash, right?
Yeah. Take a look at this chart, and this will put it into perspective. Usually the highest you've had is 2007, and you know what happened in 2007, about 66 companies IPO'd. If you look at 2020, 248, and then followed in 2021 by 613 companies came public via SPAC. So this is nuts. And so all of this is going to eventually get digested down. And I would say about 80 to 90% of these companies are going to go out of business. I mean, we've already seen a bunch of them go out of business. A lot of those Palantir investing SPACs, they're no longer around.
Now, Chris, I have a question for you. You just showed 600 companies went public in 2021. Does that mean this rally has a lot more room to run? Because we have not seen 2021 type of euphoria, I think.
No. It's just a brand new.
No, but I'm
type of
asking you as a
investment.
concept. I don't think we've seen the euphoria we saw in 2021. Like
Well, you were also
mean-
getting free money. It's just
Yeah.
you're getting
that's
free
something
money.
that the gains we're having now are in a 5.5 rate interest environment, which seems like there are gains that we should be getting because companies are really working for those gains, right? They're not just selling pictures of rocks for 5 million.
I mean, yeah, I mean, if you look at 2021 was pure speculation. You know, that was there were so many companies that I'll be honest, I fell into some of these companies because I got FOMO'd in. I saw literally there was this one friend of mine who was a doctor. He would show me his portfolio like every other day. Be like, look, I made like 20%. I made this, I made that. And I would just look at valuation. I was like, what the fuck, man? Valuation make no sense. But I used to make fun of Jeremy Financial Education because he used to like pump stuff and he used to like really do really well. I was like, God damn it, this guy's an idiot. You know, but he did well. I'm not, you know, he picked some good ones too. But when I saw that, I was just like, maybe I'm looking at the market the wrong way. Maybe I need to adjust my multiples and I need to accept that companies can have a 35 multiple and still be a value play. Like, you know, when
All of us
everyone,
felt that in 2021. All of us.
yeah, we were all retards together, basically, you know, and so you can't say so. It just so my thing was, oh, maybe they'll just grow into their multiple, and then eventually that didn't happen, and then everything crashed.
But do you think that's the safety net for 2024? I mean, Vitaly, what's your take on this? When people say it's a bubble right now,
Well, I'm not eating plant-based meat anymore. Okay, so I just want to point that out. That's how you know it's not a bubble. To be serious, the difference now is, look, these companies are super profitable. They're beating their numbers. Okay,
Yeah.
the ones that are going up, the ones that are getting creamed right now, Unity, NFX, whoever we're in, they're getting creamed for a reason. So the bad ones, right, are getting creamed because they're not showing good revenue or they're not beating their numbers, and the good ones are rising to the top, as KRIS pointed out. So I don't think there's anything wrong right now, and I don't think there's a lot of overvaluation like everybody else is saying.
okay.
I think
Yeah,
we're
I would-
still in a bull
so-
market too, by the way. And whether there's a dip coming, which is still coming, I think pretty soon, 10% pullback, whatever, we get totally crushed. End of the year, we're higher.
No, I'll tell you. So some people here are like, "Oh, KRIS, did you pay the tattooed chef tax?" I'm like, "No, bro, I paid the Oatly tax." Because I was just like, "Yeah, Oatly, bro." Everyone was like, "So Starbucks is you know, had a partnership with Oatly, and it was just like oat milk is gonna be like the next generation, like big thing, and they're just selling out everywhere, and everyone loved drinking it. And at one point, my fridge was stocked with Oatly, and then it's just like, bro." You're just fucking milking oats. It's nothing like proprietary about this bullshit.
I have some tattooed
can
chef
make
still
that
in my
at home.
fridge.
The food actually wasn't bad. That's the fucked up thing.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, yeah.
And what was the other one? Very good foods. It was actually good food.
It wasn't that bad,
I don't
actually,
even
I
know.
gotta say.
Wasn't that
But they weren't worth what we all were paying for them at the time.
No, but now you're paying more.
I mean,
regular shit.
you guys had which one? FUV, right? That was your major like downfall one. Everyone's got their downfall from 2021. What about you, Amit? What was your downfall from
That was
2021?
Palantir buying it at fucking $23 when it was not in 2021 when it was not worth anywhere near that.
Yeah, but I mean, at least you recovered it, man. Did you have any like
No,
gone to zero stocks?
No, I didn't buy any. I didn't buy any shit. I don't think I knew about all those shit stocks that you guys knew about back then.
You're better off.
No, really, I didn't. I didn't even know SoFi was like Chamath's fucking baby. I didn't know that back then. Like,
Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah, I sold that though. I sold my FUV at a slight profit to pick up a Bitcoin, so I don't feel too bad about it.
No, hold on.
The money
DNA.
lives on.
Hold
no,
on,
but
hold
I
on,
got out
Amit.
of DNA with a profit, and that was 2022.
Hold on. Who got you out of DNA? Who told you don't fucking touch DNA?
Friends don't let friends.
I mean, you definitely
Exactly.
did say that, but, also it was like $2,000, dude. It wasn't a lot of money in DNA.
I know, but for you, it was a lot at the time. I mean,
true.
you're a brand new
You
investor,
add it up.
bro.
Yeah,
You know.
right.
I still
Okay.
remember, and then Open Door. Open Door was the other one too. I was like, "Yo, stay the fuck away from Open Door." But
Yeah,
at
I was
least that
tweeting
was
about. I was like,
recovering.
should we get into Open Door? And Chris was like, do not get into Open Door.
Yeah.
Google Gemini. What the hell's going on? Stock went to 138, down 4% today. It's back at the levels it was at in September 2023. Vitaly, the question for you is this actually the time to buy since everyone's bearish now?
So I don't know if you remember, I showed a chart a long time ago. I don't know if I should show it again. And I said, Google is toppy and Amazon is not. Do you guys
You
remember
did.
this?
I remember
Even
this
6
part, yeah.
months ago, I was like,
Yep.
Google is toppy and Amazon is not. It's a better bet. I still own Google, by the way. I haven't sold it. The only thing I did with my Google is I had calls, KRIS, and I got rid of those because I don't know when they're going to recover. So I don't feel comfortable holding calls on something that I don't know when it's going to recover. And they were leaps, by the way. But still, I'm still holding my actual shares and haven't touched those. And I still feel Google is toppy. And we might have hit resistance. And until there's something fundamental, we might be headed a little bit lower. I don't know how low we're going to go. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if we go a little bit lower. Doesn't mean I'm getting rid of anything. I think I should keep my Google. I think long term, well, first of all, I'm still up like 50% on Google because I was buying it at the lows. So I don't think it's going that low to $85 again. Having said that, I'm not very positive about Google in the interim. So for the next 3 to 6 months, I'm not that positive. Amazon, I am super positive. I went super heavier today on Amazon.
I'm gonna do a poll in the chat, and then Carlos, I want you to ask. The poll is gonna be, now that Google is, I mean, it got killed. Is this the time to go long? All right, Carlos, do you think Google can be fixed by the sheer amount of cash they have, or do you think the cultural stuff is going to stop them from being able to right the ship?
I mean, if you just look at it, just realistically step back for a second, it's not actually down all that much from its all-time high. Let's be honest.
It's not.
So there's a lot of, it may feel that way. Google's getting crushed, but it's not really getting crushed. Investors are not stupid, and they understand that this company is still printing boatloads of cash, and they probably still have several years to continue to print that money. Because as much as you hate Google, and I'm seeing those people on X, I'm never using that search engine. Okay, you're going to use it. You're somehow into Google's ecosystem, and it takes time. What I'm happy about, though, is that this is now bringing up the conversation of ethics into investing again. This has brought it front and center. I did not think that this is what it would be. You know, you would think that it would be something more nefarious, or that even when they had all the CEOs in Congress, maybe that would have sparked it. But I did not expect that it was going to be the fact that this freaking woke AI can't make a white guy is now what's sparking this conversation. And you're starting to see it now bleeding apart from Gemini into the other services. Well, what are they doing to us with respect to search, and how are they monetizing my data via email, et cetera, et cetera? So it's a good thing to happen, but can they fix it immediately? No, I don't think so. Gemini, there was somebody that posted, I was trying to find it just now. There was someone that got Gemini to reveal its prompt process, and it basically adds these words that, you know, if you ask for a picture of something, it'll add the word inclusive, or it'll add diverse into your prompt before it actually generates the results. These things are built so deep into the code that it's a very hard problem to just hit a button and make it go away.
So the way it works, just to give some context, people sit there and actually look at him, ask the search engine, not the search engine, but Gemini questions when they're actually training it, and they reinforce certain things and add certain things. Mm-hmm. And though that's humans in the loop, basically putting their own morality on the situation. So honestly, without going all the way back to the training, I don't know how they remove this from the parameters in this giant CSV file that they created that is an LLM. It's just a CSV file with parameters, guys. So they need to go back and retrain it with humans who aren't so biased and told never to say white and Jew in their thing in terms of like prompting it. So this has to be fixed all the way in the beginning. This is very hard.
This is why getting rid of Sundar is not the solution. Because
he let this happen. What do you mean?
All these middle level managers and VPs, and you know what I mean? There's all these bishops and
no. He knows what's going on.
Of course he does. But you can't just change it right away. And look, we all saw the videos posted of all these Zoom meetings from all these Google employees. I think Matt Walsh did a great job posting a bunch of videos that were uncovered of various Zoom meetings from like one of the heads of the AI department. It's so deep in that culture that it's really hard to just make a switch like that right away. But the problem is the market is just going to be valuing them on the money that they're making. So I think you're seeing these two fundamental forces, but I think it's at least good to have this being a public conversation, because now the knock-on effect of this, which I think is really good, is that now the ethics of how we program AI is on the table. People are now saying, wait a minute, if we're going to interact with these AIs, just give us the information, which leads back to what Elon's been saying for a year or two about the dangers of AI. So I think overall it's good. I actually don't think Google is going to suffer all that much. I mean, on a technical level, if it doesn't hold this level, then 130 is its next support in the 120s. But then after that, it's 116. And then after that, however.
What do you guys think about this comment? Microsoft went nowhere for 10 years. That was a thing. Do you think
True.
Google could? I feel like Google.
And why did they go nowhere?
Microsoft didn't have
Who was in charge of Microsoft during that tenure?
Ballmer, right?
That's right. We have a bomber in our midst. Okay. We need this guy out. And I don't know if you remember, Carlos said this is hard to change and the CEO is not the only problem. That's wrong. As soon as Elon came into Twitter, he showed everybody, hey, get rid of 85%, change the culture, fuck all these people, and let me streamline the code base. They can do the exact same thing if they wanted to. Kris is like, fuck this. I'm out of Google. I'm wasting my time. I'm out of Google.
I'm out of Google. I don't care.
But that's Elon Musk specifically, right?
I know, but
Elon Musk
Sunder's
moves
not going
a
to do
lot
that.
faster than most.
I'm
So,
saying Sunder's not going to do that. You need to put somebody with some balls back in who will change the culture. Would probably change it within 6 months, because if you want to get fired, go take a walk. Even Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, remember what he said? He wrote a letter to his employees. Hey, we're giving you some severance. We don't want you talking politics at our company again. If you do, if you want to get the fuck out, here's some money. See you on the other side. He's better off right now, isn't he? That he did that. So I think
Let's get Chris's thoughts real quick, and then we'll keep going. Go ahead, Kris.
So I'm going to show you guys something. Google has this program called Learning in the Loo. Okay. Basically, it's like reminders while you're taking a shit of things that you should learn, right? Now, one of them, of course, is inclusive language. I'm going to read some of this inclusive language to you, and you will be shocked. And this is how fucking like how it's actually being put into the brains at Google. So instead of saying blacklist or whitelist, because that's a stereotype, which I don't know how that could be a stereotype, it says update it to blocklist or allow list. So this way you're using more inclusive words, right?
So you don't say the words black and white, Amit.
Ah,
yeah.
Is this a true thing? Is this a meme?
Yes.
Or is this a true
Yes.
thing?
No.
Where'd you get this from? How'd you get this?
I got it off from Blind. I trust me.
He got it off of Reddit.
Everyone talks about this. Yeah. I mean, you look at some of this grandfathered API that says rooted in disenfranchising. Now you have to say legacy API, right? Build.
Wait, why is
build
it disenfranchising?
I don't know.
That
This is what I
ageist?
mean.
That's funny. Dummy variable. Placeholder
Yeah.
variable.
Dude, it's gonna be the downfall of society if this is the shit we spend our time.
How
worrying
dare
about.
you call that variable a dummy? How
Yeah.
dare you?
So right now, nuke the old cache. No. That's a military metaphor. Now you have to remove the old cache. I mean,
Hold on, Kris.
You know-
You're in corporate America. Have you gone through this type of shit?
yes. I'll send you some of the videos of the shit that I've had to do.
Yeah.
It's the most ridiculous shit, dude. I'll tell you.
Don't say anything too
you're
crazy. Don't say
doing
anything too crazy.
No, I'll tell you one really funny one. I'll tell you one.
When you're
funny one.
doing those courses, do you ever find yourself asking, like, who is this actually for? Because it seems like everyone you talk to is like, why are we doing this?
Dude,
Do you ever get that feeling when you're in the
Bro,
one of the courses?
I am living it sometimes. When I have to do this course, right? There's like this video, because sometimes they'll make you watch a video.
Yeah.
So there's like this white guy who's like old. He's old of hearing. And there's like an Indian girl who like presents something and she says it with like an accent, right? And then he says, oh, I can't understand her. So they go after this dude saying, oh, he should make a better like effort to try to understand her. But like even I was having trouble understanding this thick ass Indian accent, and I'm Indian. So like, come on, like don't blame the old white dude. He probably can't barely hear shit, right? And so here's the part that really fucks with you. So people call him out, and you know what happens? The black boss comes out and says, oh, you shouldn't come after him because he's hard of hearing. So now you got two groups fighting each other. So the Indian lady is offended because they can't understand her, and the white dude is offended because he's partially deaf, and the black dude is just like mediating everything. And that's the shit that I watch, and I'm just like, and then you got to figure out which one is the most incorrect.
Yeah.
And I just go with the safe bet, which is the black dude is always right. That's it. That's just call it a day, because the guy can do no wrong.
So you think Google has this infested in them? Why doesn't Meta have the same type of problem? Why is it Google?
It's there as well.
But Meta's performed somehow.
No, they have a stronger leader. He's willing to like He's willing to fuck anybody over. That I agree. So Sundar is a PC operator.
No, but why
you
doesn't
know?
Microsoft or Meta or Amazon? I mean, I know they all have a variation of this, but their stocks are not in the gutter because of this. But it feels like that's what's happening right now. I mean, why is Google uniquely facing this? Or is this all BS? We're all over exaggerating it, and it's actually the search business that's in trouble, and that's why the streets tank.
It's not BS, but keep in mind, none of this would have been a problem if Gemini just drew a picture of a white guy. Nobody would care. If it just
no, dude. There's more to it than that. Dude.
They were making lots of
lots
of problems.
There is more to it than that, but this was the thing that when people were like, really? When people start to realize what they're actually participating in, and they're starting to see the effects of these this indoctrination or this ideology in their own world, where they're like, I can't even actually get this thing to give me a picture of a white person because it's seen as somehow racist. And that's what was the genesis of the questions. So if you're telling me if Gemini didn't have that issue, we wouldn't be talking about this today.
A nurse at a hospital that I'm not going to say which one, she got in trouble because she didn't use the correct word, which is called birthing person now. And I know that sounds stupid and ridiculous. You can't say mother.
Over that. Yeah, people are quitting over that.
You know, there are so many like little intricacies that are happening in the background. And it's birth. No, I'm serious.
The only thing I birth is a turd.
You can't in certain circles. You have to refer to mother as birthing person.
I whenever I see that shit in the email, I'm always like, God damn it. You know, like my preferred pronouns are he, him, blah, blah, blah. It's like, Jeff, I've known you for like fucking 10 years. I know you're he, him. You know, like, come on.
Okay, so you guys aren't buying Google.
I'm willing to buy Google, by the way, if it keeps tanking. I am. I'm just
if it gets to 120, I think this gets like this.
I'm not bullish on them fixing these problems, but the thing is, as soon as they start correcting any of this, I think Google makes a quick turnaround. I don't think it hangs out unless Sundar just wants to be a total schmuck and let it all just drag out. That's possible too, I guess, but I think he's getting a lot of pressure now.
I mean, they have a lot of cash.
What's his name on that BG2 podcast? He sometimes comes on the
Brad Gerstner.
Yeah, he sometimes pops onto the All In podcast. He made a really good point about Google being the quintessential example of the innovator's dilemma, where they have like literally innovated themselves into this island and they're by themselves, and anything that they do is going to cause them to technically disrupt themselves, which is what they should have been doing. But his point was, now that there's been some sort of weakness in that, the other companies are going to look, they have such high profit margin. His reasoning is, if they're like 80-90% profits, right? Profit margins, other companies are going to come and start taking a nip away at that. Like even me personally, aside from the Gemini thing, I am starting to use ChatGPT more than I did before when I want answers. And they went through a whole thing. I don't know if you guys saw that episode. He went through a whole thing where they're saying, in order for Google to change their business, let's just take the search business, to go from search to providing answers. You have much less opportunities to advertise to people if you're giving them answers versus giving them, say, a page of 10 blue links. And they went through the costs of what it costs. So a query costs them almost nothing, and to give you the answer costs almost nothing. But what they're finding is it's the exact opposite on these LLM-based models, where the query doesn't cost, the query costs a lot, because you need to, that's where you actually
do inferencing.
Yeah, you have to actually.
It's minimum 10 times more. That's the issue.
It costs you a lot more. And so Google has to figure out a way of
so here's my question, Carlos. Is this an existential threat? Is this an existential threat?
Well, the woke thing is there's two separate issues. There's them being disrupted by large language models where people want answers versus a page of links. And then there's the other aspect of it, which is the woke indoctrination that seems to have taken over the company. And both of those things are not good for them, but they're two separate problems that they need to handle. The woke one, like Vitaly said, they could get a new CEO, fire a bunch of people and do that. But how do you fundamentally change to a new way that people either want to or are going to search for answers when your primary business is that? It's the same issue that legacy automakers are having as they switch to EVs. So would I bet against them? No. If they have so much fucking money, they can literally throw money at the problem. But it's also, as they do that, are they just losing more and more ground to companies that were already ready? The real question is, why weren't they ready, and why didn't they usher this in themselves? This is not the same Google that IPO that was going to come out with new products and do no harm and make.
It's just what you said, Carlos. They didn't want to disrupt their own business model. I mean, if it cost them little to nothing to do just regular search,
Yeah.
why would you come up with a new process that costs way more, right? That you can't monetize at a higher level, I mean, I'm sure that they could have done something with it, but this also presents the case, who is actually going to benefit from AI or LLMs and all this other stuff. Now, we clearly saw Meta take the lead on this, because if you guys remember about a year and a half ago when I was on your Discord, we spoke about this, that they were going to use AI targeting to figure out who you were so that this cookie issue with Apple wasn't a problem for them. So instead of this whole thing becoming a detriment to Facebook and Instagram, it ended up becoming a moat, because now you need to have all this AI inferencing and AI infrastructure in order to figure out what the user base on the other side is looking for or querying for, or what the ads that should be shown to, right? So this way you could do the targeting. So the question is, Google right now is search business, its major revenue source, so that's getting disrupted. I think the one that's getting overlooked is Amazon. I think Amazon right now is starting to pick up real steam in terms of advertising on their platform. But on top of it, they can actually, because of all the contracts and all the services that are already running on AWS, and then on top of it, you have like your ad sales that they can do now. I think Amazon's gonna knock it out the park in terms of generate crap ton of revenue in advertising and sell a whole bunch of AI related services downstream and grow AWS even further than what it was already growing at. So I think the ultimate winner here is Amazon, especially from a valuation standpoint.
My thing is, I don't want to look back on this pod a year from now and think we were thinking like Meta's AOL. Like, is it really, are we being that harsh on it? Like,
I don't think
people
Chris,
are-
where did you hear that? Chris didn't say that at all.
No, I'm saying, will we look back a year from now and Google's at 200 and it was kind of like a Meta's at 88 moment where everyone was shitting on Meta?
No. So the difference between Meta and Google is that, see, Zuck took his medicine. Zuck said, fuck this. I'm not going to let my legacy be that I screwed over my company. And I invested so heavily into this metaverse that I killed my own company. No, he did all the hard steps that he needed to do. Google is not in the process of doing that. The layoffs that they did 12,000, right? Even though they hired almost 100,000 for the last 3 years. So it's barely a drop in the bucket. What does Zuck do? He took out a third of the company and said, listen,
25%.
25%. He's like, I don't need y'all. Get out of here. I made the hard decision. I mean, he said it nicer than I'm saying it right now, and on top of that, he scaled back the spending on some of the things that they need. I mean, you guys remember when his CTO came out and said, listen, I tried to have a meeting and literally I had to, what was it like? I had to get 30 different people in the room at the same time just to have one fucking meeting. And that's when he knew, Bosworth, I think that was his name. He said, that's when I knew, that's it. We're over bloated. We don't need all these people. Right. And I think Google is the same thing. But unlike Meta, which made those hard decisions, Google is not doing that so far. If they replace Sundar Pichai, the stock goes up 10% tomorrow.
So remember you just said yesterday or no, 2 days ago that management doesn't matter. Now you're saying management does matter. You see,
I think
it is Sundar. It is Sundar.
This fucking StreamYard. The weirdest moments of
it is. There you go.
Look at this shit. This AI. This AI.
See,
This
okay,
videos
Chris, I'm in agreement with you. Yes. First of all, Amazon is better. Agree. Management for Google, as soon as it changes over,
It doesn't work for me. What the
You gotta
fuck,
hold it
man?
up like this.
you got to hold it and not move it. You got to.
Yeah,
I don't think in front of your face though.
a little further back.
Dude, thumbs up or like this, man.
Right here, right next to your face.
Bro, whatever, 3D, I don't care. You tell me. Look, it doesn't
Doesn't
work.
work. Yo, it doesn't work for the brown guys on the pod.
Because you've got
I can't see
mic
you.
right here.
No,
Racist.
YouTube can't see
Racist,
you.
bro.
I was like, you guys have a bomb in your hand.
Bro.
YouTube right now thinks we're talking to nobody.
StreamYard is powered by Gemini.
StreamYard is racist, bro.
All right.
That's
so,
it.
So
That's-
I want to point out a couple of things. One is, listen, even if Sundar doesn't go, but Google does like what a Zuck move, or at least in terms of give us the dividends, buy all the shares back, I think the stock also goes up. I think that's important.
I think so
that
too.
they're at the time to start doing those kinds of things that mature companies do. But of course, they're buying back stock. Give us a divvy. Apparently, people loved it. And of course, if you get rid of Sundar and right your ship, this stock is a $200 stock. It's easy.
All right, so then here's the question. It's easy to talk shit, but like, since Elon can run 5 different companies, what CEO, even though he's running another company,
Elon should run this. I should run Google.
Yo, you laugh, but the effect of the free speech and all that
man.
on Twitter is starting to affect the other.
I don't know if that'd be good with Google just in
No,
general.
I believe me. Listen, Elon should not touch Google.
No, he
stay away from Google. But you can start to see that some of what they're allowing on Twitter is actually starting to affect. It's starting to relax some of the standards and thresholds of some of the other companies. So I hope that this continues.
I mean, I don't know who replaces Sunder. Honestly, I have no clue who to put in.
But you gotta pick one.
I think better. The question is, what are the other companies going to do to basically grab market share, employees from Google, the ones that are good? Because that's what happens whenever like someone weakens, the competitors are going to come out, and the search market, bro, that is a very, very lucrative market. I mean, Gmail, all these things. So a lot of people are suggesting that Elon take a crack team of coders and do email. Xmail.
He said,
you think that would work?
He tweeted, not a bad idea.
Right. We're not storming how to get rid of Google. We're storming.
Like, I still own this shit, guys. I still have.
We're brainstorming. Nah, bro. Who replaces Sunder?
When you see a wounded animal, bro, it's not like that. No,
Chris is like, I'm already out. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit.
You gotta go.
I'm waiting for Xmail.
Dude, the thing is, Google is so intertwined in our lives. Like, it's gonna be hard to see it going away.
But honestly, if Google disappeared tomorrow, like aside from the email, if it disappeared tomorrow, we would all just like use Bing. It's not like search would go away. You just use a different engine.
If Google disappeared
I don't think it's
tomorrow,
as good. It's just not as good.
No, but Carl's point is, if it disappeared, you wouldn't. It's not like you wouldn't have any option. Like
if Google disappeared, it's not like you wouldn't have any options. And I've found, I would say within the last 6 months, I found an increasing number of times where I've searched for something on Google and it won't give me the answer I'm looking for.
I go to ChatGPT every day, dude. Now
I'm saying aside from ChatGPT, when I'm just using search, and sometimes if I use DuckDuckGo or or Safari or something, I'll get the answer I'm looking for. If it's something that's in that gray area of controversy, you won't see it right away. Like there's certain things you can search for.
Say Google goes away, I lose like 15 years of email in a second.
Do you need 15 years of email though?
I use Perplexity. Someone said Perplexity. I use Perplexity too, dude. Perplexity.
Wait, you actually use this shit, Chris?
Yeah, I've heard
yeah.
I downloaded the app. It's pretty good. But once again, it is not a replacement for Google search itself. It is not. Yes, if you search for some answers and you cannot trust these things 100%. You still got to go to Google and still do real research on certain things. Okay,
so
a lot of things.
So then, what would you need? What would you search for? Where a traditional Google search engine is better than a ChatGPT?
Porn.
Okay. Oh my God.
It's the truth, dude. If I'm searching for porn, the best search engine is fucking Google.
No, it's not. No. The best search engine is
gonna find it too.
The website itself has an internal search engine. You just need to get access to the website. You could use Bing.
No,
you could use anything.
No, dude. No. Because the thing is, like, if you're trying to look for like different things, right? All the different sites, because there's like X videos, there's Pornhub, there's Spank Bang, there's like so many, dude. You want to index all of them, bro? I know all of them, so I'm just saying that's porn. Porn is the
okay. Besides that, which I know is the majority of the internet. Besides
that, but at the end of the day, Chris, you're just searching for the name. You could actually just type the name and hit .com at the end of it, and it would take.
What?
That's what I'm saying.
Searching,
you can do that.
like
I don't know,
man. Have you?
I don't know where you guys
do you guys not watch porn? Do you guys not search for porn? Porn is.
So I still do a lot of research. No, let me give a good example. Like for coding, I am actually writing a couple of apps, and I'm using Android and also iOS Xcode. And I did use Perplexity to test a couple of things just to see how it codes, and it really does help with certain things, like especially and Gemini does know coding without you don't have to put white anything. It just knows how to code as well and helps you out. But that's not the end of like an application development. So I still have to go to Google, still read other blogs, takes me somewhere else, read documentation on websites. So there's still a lot of things that I have to go through while using Perplexity to help with the actual coding. It doesn't just write the whole application, just in this one instance. So I'm still using Google for everything else besides like helping a piece of code, saying, hey, I'm having trouble with this. Can you help me write this piece of code, whatever it is? And then it gives you a framework. Well, okay, that's not exactly right. You can help it change things. But then you have to still go look up documentation, follow Google's links, follow different blogs, It's
But the
just
problem
not,
is, Vitaly, you're not clicking on any ads when you're doing all that. Those are like,
well, the ads
those
are showing up.
No, every time you
The
click,
ads are
every
showing
time
up.
you click search, you get stuff on the. You get like
but it's
4
pay
ads.
per click. You have to
Top
click
to
that
bottom,
shit.
left and right.
You have
Look,
to click
first
it
of all,
at
I
any
do
rate.
click and buy things off of Google. I'm not saying it's all the time. 99% of the time, we all ignore ads. It's the 1% that they need us to click anything, right? So my point is that you have to follow the 10 blue links along with these tools. I don't think it's one or the other. You guys are making it seem like it's one or the other.
I think in not so long of a period of time, the traditional give me the page of links is going to feel like the yellow pages. Because theoretically, you could do all that stuff in the yellow pages. You could find businesses there. It's still
You're
there.
right. I think so too.
But at a certain point, when Google search came out, it became so obvious how old this technology was. So it's a combination of, I think, more people getting used to the chat GPT style, as well as those things getting better. You know, as they get better at providing you the actual answer that you're looking for. I'm finding
the problem to this comment too. Addy says they're just going to charge $20 a month. The majority of the world,
No, they won't. They won't. That's actually the opposite. They're going to do it for free while ChatGPT has to charge you 20 bucks.
well, no. Google launched Gemini Pro is $20 a month, dude.
I know they're doing that now, but you can still use Gemini for free.
I know, but my point is the majority of the world doesn't have $20 anyway. So it's like, and Google's,
But
international.
they'll do what Netflix does. They'll just charge less and less.
Yeah, but then they're not going to make the profit margins they have. They're like those ads are juicy.
But look, but at a certain point, you can't at a certain point that might be the answer, that they can't just infinitely grow forever. That there'll be some sort of contraction.
So get the divvy. They gotta do something.
Right? Get the divvy, do some buybacks, and like the AutoZone example. You don't have to grow your profit. That's not the only way. If they're printing that much money, they can just return that to the shareholders that way.
I just want to point that that's a fallacy from earlier. I think someone mentioned it again, but what replaces YouTube? The thing is, if Google goes away, we are affected in our lives. Just like if Apple goes away, I could use Android. I mean, it's similar, but there are certain things that are lost in that translation. I think it's the same equivalent that Apple can go away and our lives will continue. Google can go away, but I think they're worse in both cases, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
if Google did go away, I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world. Though, if my iPhone went away, it would suck. But if I would use Bing, dude, if Google went away.
No, the iPhone would hurt more than
we need.
And
to,
then you don't even have a career because YouTube doesn't exist, and you're going to try Vimeo.
No, YouTube.
It'll be
YouTube
on
can
Rumble.
outside.
It'll be on Rumble
He's gonna be on
tomorrow.
Rumble.
I'm not going to
Steven-
Rumble. I'm not going to fucking
Steven
Rumble.
Crowder.
You're not thinking about the whole picture here, okay?
Look, the
A lot of
frogs
things
are
change.
gay, guys.
the water. They're putting chemicals in the water that
Oh,
turns
that's
the
what he
frogs
said?
gay. So first, let's just come to terms. Google is not going away. They still have strong business here and there, but the valuation that people would pay for Google would go down substantially, right? So right now, I think what is their PE 27?
No,
They probably, huh?
Hold on.
25.
25. So it would probably
25, sorry.
Yeah, so it would get repriced much lower. That's what would happen, because then their earnings would start to suffer unless they just use a crap ton of the buybacks. But once again, if their search business, which is their moneymaker, keeps getting disrupted, even those buybacks over time will keep shrinking. That's the problem. So at least with AutoZone, the top line is still growing slightly, so those buybacks are meaningful. So I would say with regard to Google is facing an existential threat. Apple could theoretically be forced not to use Google as a search engine anymore. That's another possibility, because right now Google is defaulted as a search engine and Apple is basically, getting paid for it. But once again, antitrust could come in and fuck over Google. The bigger problem that I think Google is going to face is that if politically Trump and the Republicans get into office, they're going to have a field day. They are going to go after Google.
We know Trump's winning, dude. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
If he does win and he actually does retaliate, yes, a lot of these social media companies are in for some serious.
Dude, they all banned him in 2021. If he comes back with a vengeance, that would be wild.
And here's the dangerous thing about it is he would be coming back knowing he only has 4 years left. So you could burn the whole thing down. You don't have to worry about re-election. That's why you see most of this.
I think he burns it down no matter what.
he's burning something down. If he's back, if he steps back in that White House on January 20th, fucking 2025. Oh,
he's coming in hot. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
All right, peace. I do got to go.
Oh yeah, I got to go too. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
On, you do, peace.
I'm telling you, bro.
Just hold it up like this.
I'm writing
Zoom, guys. We got to talk Zoom. We got so much stuff we got to talk tomorrow.
Okay. I gotta write an email, bro, about this. What happened? What happened? Why don't we get it?
Just
No,
hold
I'm
it up by
messaging
your
StreamYard tonight, dude. They're
face. Just
racist.
hold it up by your face. Just hold it
No,
up.
they're not doing it for
Is
me
there-
and Chris.
Carlos,
Is there a
we're a little
setting?
bit,
Is there
we're
a
a little bit
setting?
more Caucasian, both of
Hey,
us.
switch us.
This
switch
is
us to the left
racist.
side. Switch us to the left side and put you guys on the
Okay,
right.
hold
side.
on. We'll see if this is racist, dude.
All
I
right,
don't like
It's
this.
not gonna work. The right and left has nothing to do with it.
They
All
don't
right,
like
all right,
brown
peace.
people.
Later,
The balloons went up into Vitaly.
Dude, StreamYard does not like brown people.
Bro, that's it. Now I know that StreamYard's been coded by a bunch of white dudes. Bro.
StreamYard has
No.
bias in their AI. It is official.
That's right.
All right, guys,
There you
we'll
go.
see you tomorrow on our new Zoom channel.
All right, everybody. See you guys
Later,
tomorrow.
guys.
Bye. Have a good one.
Bye.